Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Textbook to Classroom CS. This is the continuation of my previous video, that is what are the problems with the ordinary file systems. I already explained that these are the problems like data redundancy, data inconsistency, difficulty in accessing data, data isolation, security issues, sharing and concurrent access, backup, recovery, and integrity. Let me continue the topic. Now, let us see how DBMS solves these problems. In DBMS, users do not directly handle separate files. Usually, users access the data through an application like a portal, a mobile app, or a form. The application sends the request to the DBMS. The DBMS controls security, queries, backup, concurrency, and rules. So then the actual data is stored in the database as organized tables and relationships. So DBMS acts like a managed system between the users and the database. So it is acting as a bridge between the users and the database. It reduces unnecessary repetition of data. It improves consistency and it gives controlled access. It supports queries. That is very important. Then it helps in backup and recovery, and multi-user sharing is possible in DBMS. So instead of many scattered files, DBMS gives an organized and controlled system for managing data. Now, let us compare the file system and DBMS side by side. In the file system, data is stored as separate files. But in DBMS, data is stored as organized database. In the file system, redundancy is high because the same data may be repeated. But in DBMS, redundancy may be reduced using proper design. So, next, in the file system, consistency is difficult to maintain. But in DBMS, consistency is better control and security is limited in a file system. But DBMS provides user roles and permissions. Data access in a file system may be manual or program specific. But in DBMS, we can use queries. Sharing is difficult in a file system. So when many users access the data, DBMS is designed for multi-user access, right? Then backup and recovery or manual or limited in a file system. But in the case of DBMS, it provides better built-in support. So the simple conclusion is use file system for simple personal storage, but use DBMS for large, shared or secure and for the frequently updated data. So now we will do a small demo. For this demo, we are going to use a simple Excel sheet. So the purpose is to understand why the file system approach creates problems and how DBMS gives a cleaner structure. So you can see, I'll open the Excel sheet which I have created earlier. Okay, so here we have three sheets, right? So the page one is the student file and the page two is the marks file and page 3 is the DBMS view. Okay, I think you can able to see. So now let us look at the first sheet, that is the student file. So this sheet represents a separate file maintained by the college office. Here we have student details like student ID, name, department, phone number, email and address. For example, student ID 101, which is Anu from CSC. Student ID 102, that is Ravi from IT, and 103, that is Meena from DSPS, and so on. Now, this looks neat and correct, right? So, this file can be considered as the main student details file. Now, let me ask one question. Suppose Ravi changes his phone number, where should we update it? Definitely, we should update it here in the student file, right? But in a file system, the same phone number may also be repeated in marks file, the other files like marks file, attendance file, fees file, library file, and so on. But if we update Ravi's phone number only in the student details and not in the other file, what will happen? The data will become inconsistent, right? Because different files have different phone numbers. So the first sheet shows the correct student master information, but the problem starts when the same details are repeated in other files. Now let me go to the second page, that is the marks file. Here also, we have the student ID, name, department, phone, subject, internal marks, external marks, total, and we have, okay, total, right? Now, observe carefully. The marks file is not storing only marks. The marks file is not only storing marks. It is again repeating student name, department, and phone number which is in the previous file also, the student file also, the details of the student file is also repeating here in the marks file, right? So this is data redundancy. The same student details are already available in the student file, but they are repeated here again. Now look at Ravi. In the student file, Ravi's phone number is one value. But in the marks file, Ravi's phone number is different. So this is a data inconsistency. Now look at Karthik. So in the student file, Karthik's department is CSC. But in the marks files, we can see for Karthik, department is CSC. But in the marks file, the department is written as computer science. Now, both may mean the same thing, but in the database system, inconsistent naming can create problems. So, for example, if we search for only CSE students, Karthik may be missed because his department is written as computer science. Now, look again at Ravi. In one row, the name is Ravi, and in another row, it is written as Ravi Kumar. So again, you can see the student ID is same, right? So again, the same student has different name values in different places. This shows why repeated data is dangerous. Now, at the bottom of this sheet, we can see the problems students should identify. First, data redundancy. Student details are repeated in what are the problems that are existed with this is data redundancy, that is student details are repeated in many times. Then data inconsistency. That is, Ravi's phone number and name differ between files. Third one is difficult update. Changing one detail requires updating in multiple files. And the fourth one is the security issue. The marks file may expose phone and department details unnecessarily, right? And the fifth issue is no central control. That is, each file may be maintained differently by different people. So this sheet clearly shows the problem of the file system approach. Now we can go to the next sheet. Okay, that is the DBMS view. So this sheet shows the same idea in a cleaner DBMS structure, right? Here we have two separate tables. One on the left side, we have the student table, and this table stores student details like student ID, name, department, phone number, and email, right? This becomes the one correct place for student details. Now, on the right side, we have the marks table. You can see here, the marks table does not repeat the student name, department, phone number, and the email. It only uses the student ID, right? Then subject is there, internal, external marks, right? Then this is very important. Instead of repeating all student details again and again, DBMS uses a key like student ID to connect related data. That key, we can call it as primary key. So in the later videos, I will explain that. So student ID acts as a link between the student table and the marks table. So unnecessarily, we don't have give all the details of the student in the marks table, and also which is not necessary also. Now below that we have a combined view, right? So this view shows student ID, name, department, subject, internal, external, and total, right? So in real DBMS, this type of combined result can be produced using a query. So DBMS can keep data separately in clean tables, and when we need combined result, it can join the related tables and show the record information. So these are the benefits of DBMS. So there is no repeated phone number in the marks table. There is no repeated email in the marks table. And if Ravi changes his phone number, we update it only in the student table. So the remaining we can call the details using the student ID. Right. So DBMS helps in reducing redundancy and also improving consistency and giving controlled access. So file system keeps separate files. So repeated and inconsistent data can happen. That is the main issue with the ordinary file system. But DBMS keeps related data in structured tables and connects them using keys, right? So data becomes easier to update. So only we have to update it in one place. So the remaining places it will be reflected and safer to share and more reliable. So now let's go through a quick summary what we have learned. So file system stores data in separate files, and it may look simple in the beginning, but when the data grows, many problems can happen with the ordinary file system. The same data may be repeated, which is called the data redundancy. Then repeated data may not match, which is called inconsistency, and accessing combined information becomes difficult in ordinary file system. Security, sharing, backup, and recovery are also the harder parts in the file system. So DBMS provides organized storage, controlled access, query support, backup is there, recovery, and it gives data protection. So Now you clearly understood that why DBMS is needed beyond ordinary files, right? So hope this video is helpful for you to understand the concept. Thank you and see you in the next video.